Are you journaling or are you wallowing around in self-pity? Journaling is an ancient practice that was done by people like Marcus Aurelius, Benjamin Franklin. It's a wonderful way to record details and events about your life, to organize your thoughts, to process events, and to solve problems that you thought were never going to get fixed. But unfortunately, without guidance and doing it improperly can lead to being sucked into a black hole of self-loathing and self-centeredness, which ultimately just causes nothing but anxiety and stress. So today I'm going to show you how you can journal properly, and you can turn journaling into an active, conscious activity to solve some of the most complex problems and avoid the self-centeredness and the excess anxiety. So I have journaled for a very long time. Since I was like in junior high, I've kept journals. And through the years, I've been more or less consistent with it. And a trend has formed, at least in my experience. Feel free to share with me in the comments about how you have a relationship with your journal. But for me, through the years, I've kind of found this trend that formed, which is that I'm doing the most journaling whenever my life is like falling apart and terrible things are happening. And it's turned into this kind of like feedback loop of me going to my journal every time that I'm having difficulties. I'm feeling stress or anxiety. And what ends up happening is I just focus on everything in my life that's going wrong. I don't problem solve enough. All I was doing was giving vivid, extreme, almost morbid details to my psychological anguish, my emotional pain and suffering. And I wasn't doing enough brainstorming on how to provide solutions to the problems that I was experiencing. And so my suggestion today is that for those of you who enjoy journaling or do it frequently, to assess yourself, is this happening with me? And maybe if it isn't now, if it happens in the future, you'll be able to identify that. If it is happening with you, then I'm going to propose this idea. Whenever you are tempted to journal or diary about a particular problem or pernicious issue that has cropped up in your life, that you begin first by fully describing the event. And that is similar enough to what people usually do. But we don't want to stop there at the problem description. We just want to describe it enough to fully understand most of its implications and its details, to map it out. Once we've properly understood what the problem really is, because sometimes we don't even know. It can be some kind of like nebulous emotional or relational issue, and we don't properly understand it. And those kinds of things are really the best kind of problems for journaling, because we find these things out. It's kind of self discovery and insight about our own life, our own character. But sometimes, oftentimes, insight is just not enough. We actually need some kind of positive, conscious, and active movement toward a solution and resolution if we're ever going to get better, if the issue is ever going to get resolved. So once we've properly described the event, we're going to next need to now list out all of the potential things that could resolve the issue. What could possibly make my scenario any better? And these things could be, that I just change my attitude. That's like one of the easiest, best ones. Easiest, maybe the simplest, but most difficult, right? Simple, not easy. Because if we change our attitude about a circumstance, then we don't have to actually do anything in the world. We can just actually stop experiencing the negative affect and just have a different experience entirely without actually changing the material world. That's a great option. Oftentimes in my own experience, that attitudinal thing is either the very first solution or it's the very last one as a last resort. Results may vary. The next thing is to try and think about the different relational things. How do we, if we could get someone else to interact with us differently, we may be able to persuade them to have a different attitude. We may persuade them to assist us in a particular way that may solve our problem, or different material means, if we could just add something to our life or if we gave something up. These are just like some vague ideas, but this is an example of kind of a free-flowing brainstorm that needs to be happening in this journaling process in order for us to find a happy conclusion for our given problem. And once you've run through all of these solutions, then you can bullet point them and you can begin actively pursuing those goals in order to resolve the problem at hand. And once all of those goals are exhausted, and assuming that, very unfortunately, nothing fixes the issue, then what you can do is just determine that maybe this is an attitudinal adjustment that needs to be made, and we actually just have to accept that our state of the state of things is how we have to keep it, and we're going to have to exist for a while longer in these circumstances. And so then you have to just go through a psychological process of coming to grips with what's happened and what's happening and how things are going to be. So my encouragement to you is to just simply take a conscious and active approach to journaling rather than always looking back at the things that happened and the circumstances that you're in. If you're constantly journaling about some kind of problem that you have that is chronic, then identify that pattern throughout your whole journal. You might be able to go through your journal and do some kind of like minor statistical analysis on it. If you keep a digital journal, this will be like a lot easier. I don't. I keep these kind of like physical journals. These Exceed journals from Walmart work really well for me. You might like the Moleskines or something fancier than that. I don't have the money or the time for those things. But you can go through and you can find how many times have I complained about this particular issue. It might be a problem with a person, a relationship, an issue at work, an issue in your school performance. And you can kind of tally up how many times these issues have cropped up in the time that you've been journaling. And then you can determine if the pattern has formed and if this is a real issue or not. And you'll get a feel for whether or not this is an issue that is recent or chronic. Where did it have its origin? What is the nature of the problem? And that kind of frequency knowledge of how many times it occurs is going to help you determine whether or not this is really a problem at all. For instance, if you have, a difficulty in your relationship or something and they don't take the trash out, maybe you know how many times they don't take the trash out. If it's one time and you feel like they never take the trash out, well, that's just not accurate. You got to know how many times. You can't say you never take the trash out, but they only missed it once. So this is something that I'm actively doing in my own journaling, and I am excited to maybe eventually, as it continues, maybe by the end of next year, the end of 2026, I will be able to compile some data and put it together and see if there were any trends that formed and make a little bar graph and things like that so that we can make active progress towards solutions, not just describing our issues ad infinitum and wallowing around in our own sorrow and self-pity, right? No one wants that. So to end, I'll tell you my favorite quote from the movie G.I. Jane, where the drill sergeant tells all of the soldiers during their training camp this wonderful poem. I never saw a wild thing feel sorry for itself. A small bird would fall frozen dead from a bough without having ever felt sorry for itself. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later. Bye-bye now.